Welcome to episode 366 of a Game Deflators podcast. My name's John, and I am joined by both Ryan and Barry.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators podcast, we like to talk about games. We've recently picked up games we're currently playing, and we pump up the jam in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So we played a little bit of NBA Jam on the SNES, but of course, we are also joined by Barry. So before I turn it over to Ryan to say what we're talking about, Barry, if you want to reintroduce yourself to everybody on the podcast.
Hey everybody, it's been a while. Happy to be back. It's always a pleasure. My name is Barry Carenza. I am right now a production coordinator over at PM Studios. Last time I was here, I was still with Premium Edition, but got a lot of stuff happening this year. A lot of great games. We just did Yuka Replay that just came out. We had, we have Bandit Trap coming out. We've got so many games. Pipistrello earlier this year. I can't tell you how many games we're doing, and I spent the entirety of my day doing more ESRBs because we have so many games, and we just want to make sure that they all get out there physically. And all our Switch 2 games are actually full on cart, something we are absolutely working on. No game key cards here. We want to preserve the physical.
Awesome. Thanks for the update. Ryan, what else are we going to talk about today?
From way downtown, Palworld sinks one on Nintendo as the JPO says no patents in my house. Then Microsoft hopes it's nothing but net profits when it comes to remaking Halo for all platforms. Then to beat the buzzer, we chat NBA Jam in our Inflation Deflation Challenge.
I think you're a better pre-show, but that was good too.
Tim would be very proud of you.
Yeah, we have to have him on. We haven't had him on yet. So we just had Brian Colin on recently, and he was sitting next to Tim recently. So I gotta get Tim on here sometime. So, all right. Well, of course, you can find the Game Deflators on thegamedeflators.com. You can also find us on social media at Game Deflators on X, at the Game Deflators on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and Blue Sky. We're also on YouTube, so hit the little bell so you know when we're on. Leave us a 5-star review on those podcast applications, and let's dig into our recent pickups. Guests are first. Barry, what pickups do you have this week?
Oh,
I know it's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question. I actually haven't gotten a lot of pickups. I have in my cart, I have a crap ton of games. It's one of those things where I've been delaying a bit because, as you know, with a child, it's like, expenses start happening. My refrigerator is going out now. I got to take care of that. So I've just been like, I want to try and not anger the wife, so I'm just putting stuff in my Amazon cart. And I think I have like over $1,000 worth of Switch games to get. And I'm just keeping it there, and I'm just like, I'm trying to behave. And, it's one of those things where I'm like toying, like, do I really want to keep going for this set because it's still going? Do I really need a Bratz game again? Like, maybe I should curate some of this stuff because it's just gotten out of hand with the so much Switch, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's been one of those things I'm trying to toy with. What should I do? What should I not do? I've been mainly going for like what I call like museum stuff, which I've gotten quite a bit since I was last on, but one of the most recent things I did get was a UMD, nothing special. It was just a UMD development model. Like it's for the dev kit, and there's a game on it, but I don't know what's on it because I don't have a dev unit. So it's a mystery game, but I got it for a good price, and I was like, okay, I'll just put this for display.
Sounds like you need a dev unit then instead of 1,000 Switch games.
I do need a dev unit, but they're expensive again, and it's like, where would I put it? I went to my storage locker recently, and it's full, and I just put more in it, and I'm just like, there's treasures beyond treasures that are just stuck here because I don't have room in the house, and now obviously my son is taking over, and it's like, what do I do?
Well, I can help you out. What's the address of the storage locker and a number?
It'll cost you for that. That information is not free.
I feel like in the fridge though, we just got one recently, and fridges are expensive, dude.
Well, you know what it is our fridge is old, but the new fridges, we don't like the water in the door thing. We drink bottled water. And that takes up a lot of real estate inside. And we like the split, the double doors. And my wife was looking, and she's like, the closest thing is like $1,600, and it's not what I like. and I
Yeah.
like what we have. So she's been on talking with a repairman. It's not out. The fridge didn't go out, but the fridge side is cooler than it should be. It's like in the 50 degrees,
Mm.
and it should be a little cooler.
Yeah.
And we think it's a defrost issue where the freezer's not defrosting enough and it's blocking the fan.
That'll
So
happen.
the guys she's talking to was like, it's going to cost you $250 for me to repair that, or $150 if you defrost it ahead of time. My wife's like, hell yeah, I'll do that any day of the week. We're fortunate we do have a second fridge in the garage that we use just for drinks. So we're like emptying the drinks out. We're bringing everything there so we don't lose food. But it's just like, if this happens, what else is next? Anything.
Yeah,
It's always something.
so we end up going with like a G profile. It's a pretty decent fridge. We really like it, and after we get that done, my wife's like, "Hey, the oven isn't heating so well now." I'm like, "Oh, great, okay."
Yeah,
that's the next.
that's how it starts. The joys of home ownership. It's like,
Yeah,
you think you're good for a few days, and then something happens, and it snowballs.
yeah.
And that's why the rainy day fund, like, it's absolutely, and especially with a child, as you know, anything can happen.
I'm
Then bring a
currently-
toy, gotta get a new
I'm
one.
currently saving for a roof. That's actually my next big thing.
Roof,
Oh yeah, and
yeah,
that's expensive as hell. So that is, that's gonna be.
I don't know, you like with daycare too. Like, daycare is
God.
so expensive.
Well,
My God, it's like,
We're kind of
it's worth
lucky.
it.
We're kind of lucky.
We are too.
We got grandfathered in, so we pay like $180 a week where we're at. So
We pay around, I think it's like $1,700 a month. But that's 5 days a week. That's from like 9 o'clock until 6 o'clock, and they feed them 3 times a day, and we don't have to pay for the food.
nice.
So I'm like, when it evens out that way, it's really not that bad.
No, it's not terrible.
And they're educating them. They're teaching them stuff and methods that I can't do.
Yeah,
and singing and dancing and learning.
Mine isn't. I'm trying to get mine in pre-K soon. So
Well, this thing goes up to kindergarten. We're gonna keep them there till pre-K before then we
nice.
have public
Okay.
school. But yeah, they're accredited up to kindergarten.
Nice.
So I'm like, you know what, that's good. Let him learn all that stuff now. So when he goes to kindergarten and public school, he's a pro, and it's not like don't leave me, mommy, don't leave me, daddy. Like, he's a pro at it. Like, he walks into the room already. He doesn't cry. He's like, whatever, bye.
Yeah, yours I think
leave
is
me
6
alone.
months younger than mine, right? Something around there.
Yeah, I think it's like 6 months.
Yeah,
He's almost 2.5. 2.5 on Christmas.
Yeah, mine just turned 3. So yeah, it's good stuff. Ryan, you can't relate. I'm sorry.
No kids. Yeah.
Oh, just you wait. You'll have one sooner or later.
I don't know
You'll be
about
like,
that.
Man, I'm
Oh no.
So what are you playing right now? That's another loaded question, but what are you playing?
So I am I'm supposed to be doing Dragon Quest 1 and 2 today because that came out, but my copy did not come. So I'm still
Play that.
doing the tiny little things. I'm trying to get my shiny charm in Pokemon Legends ZA. It's the only thing left. I did everything else. Full decks, full story. Got the Greninja Mega Stone from online. And I am doing another game, Tozua Knight. I think it's Order of the Alchemists. It's the new one it's just coming out on the Switch. It's a Metroidvania. It's a lot of fun. So I've been playing that. That's what I'm doing for review for Nintendo Fuse. I just did a game. I'm also doing a review for Nintendo Fuse called Spindle. It's like a Zelda top-down action adventure game on the Switch. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to see if I have time for Dragon Quest before Hyrule Warriors comes out, because it's like that's 7 days away. It's another week. Like, how much Dragon Quest can I do? Can I beat one before that happens? And of course, there's other games like I alluded to earlier. I was doing an ESRB, a game I was playing, but I can't talk about that. And that's the weird thing with work, because when I'm working, I'm playing games, and then when I'm doing reviews, and then I'm playing for my enjoyment. But it's very different. Anyone who's like, oh, I want to play video games for a living, it's very different when you do it for work, especially when you do it for the ESRB versus when you do it for entertainment.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of how they say like people like to cook, right? Yeah, you don't want to become a chef because you get tired of it. And
Well,
not,
I mean,
not saying you get tired of it, like what
not
you're doing.
tired of it. It's just you have to train yourself. Like, if you are reviewing a game versus playing a game for your enjoyment, you play a game for your enjoyment. You sit back, you kick back, you have fun. You're in seventh heaven if it's the game you like. But if you're reviewing it, you got to start to be more critical. You got to start looking at things. You got to start questioning. Oh, that was fun, but could it be better? Or, oh, the frame rate hiccuped there. Should I mention that? Should I not? Or how was the tutorial? Was it too handholdy? I don't mind a handholdy, but maybe I should mention that. It changes the outlook. And if it's a game you don't like and you have to review, do you just bash it because you just don't like it? Can you find some positives on it? So you really have to change your outlook on how you think about it. When you do it for the ESRB, you've got to take a magnifying glass and check every little thing. Like for example, there's a game that we announced that we're doing a physical with our partners at Lost in Cult for Paper Trail. It's called Paper Trail. It's already announced. It's pre-orders. I had to do the ESRB on that, and it's relatively a tame game. I submitted everything, and the ESRB came back to us and said, "Oh, there's one character, and they're like pixelated characters, so it's really hard to see, that happens to have a pipe, and you didn't mention anything about tobacco." And not only did I miss it, but my boss and my coworkers, we all reviewed the ESRBs, we all missed it. And I was like, oh my God, it was like on the footage for like 20 seconds or so, 25 seconds. But if you submit it to them and you don't call it out, they come back after you. So it's like, oh, I got to re-up, change the form and add that in. And it's like, I think as I started, I made more mistakes, and I'm not perfect, but like it's like training yourself. And it's like I'm never gonna miss that pipe again. Like I'm always looking out
Yeah.
for little things. Like, oh, there was something on the wall I missed, and I've been working with developers who help, and they're like, oh, here's the form, I filled it out. Here's the footage, and I have to review the footage, and I'm like, oh, you missed this, you missed this, you missed, because they're not trained to look for it either. And it's really like even like a quick sign in the back. Like I was doing a Five Nights at Freddy's. I did Secret of the Mimic, well, which we put up for pre-order, and there's like a sign on the back, and it's electrocution. It's like caution electrocution, and it's like a hand being electrocuted, and you see like the skeleton, and it's like it's if you don't look in on the wall, you may not see it, but it's in the footage, and I'm like, we should probably point that out. I don't know if it affected the rating at all. Probably didn't, but it's always better to tell them. And it's like you have to look at all the signs on the back wall. A character goes into a convenience store. Is there cigarettes? Is there alcohol? Look for things like that. Is there any kind of like signs or funny things or anything? It's
I imagine
really,
if
really
there's
crazy.
like a picture of like somebody in a bikini, that would be like suggestive themes, right? So you have to,
yep.
yeah.
Absolutely. Anything like if there's like a locker room and you open up a locker and there's a pin up in there, like yep, like that has to be there. We have to get like the scripts. You have to run through the entire script and look for certain words
How
and
long does it
highlight them.
take you to go through this whole process to get it submitted? Like per game?
It depends on the game.
Well,
Every
yeah.
game is different.
Like let's just say it's a 4-hour game.
I mean, even a 4-hour game, if depends on if I have to play it or if they provide footage, and I have to review it. If I have to review even a 4-hour footage, depending on how much content, it could take me anywhere from about 5 hours to 12 hours. We did Thank Goodness You're Here. That's another one we did with Lost in Cult, and I did the ESRB on it, and it's a short game, like an hour and 40 minutes. So I had the whole playthrough, an hour and 40 minutes. It must have taken me about 10 hours to go through that hour and 40 minutes because there's something every few seconds in that game, and I had to call it out. And it was like ridiculous.
Well, that game has like a lot of jokes in it too.
A lot of
jokes, a lot of stuff you gotta mark.
Innuendos, sexual jokes.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's just like in that game, it's like just walking by as an NPC that's like talking about like, oh, the best thing they did was start smoking when they were young or something like that. And they said it in like a rhyme, but it was like blink and you missed it. It was just a background NPC, and I caught it. I'm like, oh my God, I got to report that. So I was like, and then of course when you find it, you got to give timestamps. So it's not just, oh, let me report this. It's let me rewind, let me get the timestamps, let me make sure everything's there, and then you have to put it in a log, and then you take that from the log, you have to put it in the forms and submit the video log with the like. It's a lot. It's not something that's like done in a day, unless you know the game. Like developers have an easier time because they're like, oh, I know the game, I know the insides out, I know what happens at the end. A lot of times we don't. We just have to play the game and we know nothing. So it's like, all right, I need to play this game for a couple hours just to at least learn it, and then go through my footage and put together. It's quite a time-consuming
Yeah,
thing.
and I imagine it gets even worse when you have games that have like different options, right? Like if you say one thing and then it kind of dictates a new scene
That's
or
where the script
multiple
happens.
endings. Oh, okay.
So when we get in a case like that, we will get the script, and we'll, our footage will show one thing, and we'll say in the ESRB, here's this, and then we'll say other dialogue choices that we don't have footage for, or this. They don't need to see everything. They just, that's what the script is there. They can review it, but at least they see the context. If you say A, they say shit, and B, they say fuck. You know, okay, that they see how the dialogue's delivered. That's good enough. They
Gotcha.
don't need to see every single thing. But
So the
and I
South Park game didn't take like 2 years for somebody to ESRB rate it.
well, that was probably done by the team that did it, so they knew all the insiders and they knew all
Yeah.
the different things. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe Ubisoft, sent it to their producers and they had to go through it. I don't know. But like, what was it? Game? There was a game called Arco, which it's a really interesting RPG. It's coming out. Oh, it's out now. I mean, the physical's coming out, and it's another one with Lost in Cult where it's like about colonization, about massacres, and revenge. It's a very very dark story put in a pixelated RPG, and
Oh,
I
wow.
I
Looks cool.
it is really cool. It's very cool, and I put like there's dirty language. There's a lot of f bombs, and I put in the form. I probably put, I don't know, 15 or so examples of dirty words, and I missed a shit in the footage I sent them. Like I gave them enough to say what the language should be. And they came back and said, "Oh, well in this line the word, was not highlighted to us." So I had to go back and add that in, and I was, it's like, come on, like I gave you 4 F bombs or 8 F bombs and you're worried about this shit. Yeah, they want to see the word, not only the worst, as long as they see the worst in the game, they'll rate it, but if you provide the footage and you don't call it out, then they say, no, you told us about this. This has to be in the form. If you don't say it, like if there's 4 F bombs and I didn't put that shit in there, they wouldn't have cared because they had the F bombs. That's way worse than the shit. But because it was provided, I'm like, oh my God. So you have to like comb, go through your own footage with a fine tuned comb just so it doesn't get kicked back. Because anytime it gets kicked back, it takes longer to get the ratings, and you want to get the ratings sooner versus later.
How long is that
So
process typically?
ESRB is pretty quick. I'm going to say they're probably around a week. Peggy is about, I feel like two or so weeks. Peggy is interesting because with ESRB, you just do the form and you say, here's all the footage, you guys rate it. With Peggy, they ask you to rate it. You have
Oh,
to say, is this a Peggy 7 violence? Is this a Peggy 14 violence? Or Peggy 12 violence? Is this, a Peggy 17 violence? And then they'll come back afterwards and they'll be like, yes, here it is, that we agree with you. Or no, this is actually worse than it is. We're upping the rating because you get like a preliminary rating. Or, you know what? You said this was as bad as it was, but it really isn't that bad. We're lowering the rating for you. So they make you rate it, but then they give you a preliminary based on what you submit, but they'll lower it or raise it. But it takes significantly longer to go through. And
gotcha.
they want codes. They play through the games at Peggy. They'll be like, we want the codes. We want to play through the games. It's a process, and it's needed for every single release. For every physical has to go through a more detailed process than a digital. Digitals are significantly easier.
Sounds
Digital is like, is there violence? Yes. Okay, cool.
sounds like you're enjoying your time.
Oh, I am. I'm very grateful. I'm very appreciative. It's a dream job. It's a lot of fun. I get to work with the developers. I get to work with a wonderful team. I get to see these games come out. I get to hold in my hand like, hey, I did the ESRB. That rating, is because I did. Like, it's a different feeling than what I had with Premium. With Premium, it was, hey, I was instrumental in talking to devs, and that's why this game is in physical. Here, it's a different department. Hey, I helped get this physical. I did different things behind the scenes, and that's still equally as cool in a completely different way. And just to be able to talk to the devs and work with the devs on the ESRBs, and just it's great.
Nice.
It's just a fun process. And there's a lot of back ends. I'll tell you that just seeing the behind the scenes, it's eye opening at what everybody's going through and what everybody's doing, and it's
That's so
neat.
cool.
It's a lot of
Good
fun.
job, Barry.
It is a lot of fun. I'm very, like I said, I'm very appreciative, and it's a great industry to work with, and and there's a lot of great stuff coming, and I wish I had more time to play. That's all I'll say. Because if you saw even our lineup, if all I played was our lineup, like I wouldn't have enough time to play it. There's just so much.
Well, the good thing is you do get to play it in some respect.
Some respect to some of the games. We have a team. I don't do them all.
Yeah.
We have a very excellent team that I joined, and they're more experienced than I am, so they're more helping me out. And yeah, it's just wild to see a lot of that behind the scenes.
Very nice.
And yeah,
sweet. Well, I guess I'll get into my pickups, and okay, that's it for my pickups. I have none. So
there you go.
So I've actually here. Let me look at my Amazon list. I've actually got one. So Barry, I am actually going through Amazon and making purchases.
Oh, right. I'm making a few, but it's I'm trying to be good.
Oh, actually, I do have a pickup. It's sitting in my mailbox. I didn't know it came in. It was supposed to be November 3rd. I got Clash Artifact of Chaos. So let me just see if that comes up. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
no
like,
idea.
What's that?
I've heard of it.
No idea. I've never seen that.
So it's kind of like a cell shaded Dark Souls.
Oh, cool.
Oh, he looks weird.
Yeah, he does, right? So I don't know. I saw some reviews that said that it's got some jank and it's like Dark Souls.
You're like, I'm there.
It's like 12 hours.
This looks like a very you pickup.
12 hours of janky Dark Souls. Sign me up, man. So,
John, did you play Black Myth?
No, I need to. I need to play Black Myth still.
Oh, that's us, man.
I know. It's on the list.
You're gonna pick up janky Dark Souls over Black Myth Wukong.
You can send me a review copy, Barry. No, it's on my list. I haven't picked it up yet.
We had to do to get that. That's all on the physical too. Like they worked magic to make that all on the physical.
Yeah, no, I was waiting for physical, and I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. Silent Hill had come out, and I jumped on that, and Black Myth Wukong. I need to play it. I just haven't messed with it yet. But I am still playing Witcher on my PC, and I am still enjoying it, Ryan. We have gotten past the cows. That is no longer a thing. That was last week's episode. What happened this week? I had to collect pieces of a mirror for somebody that was killed in the game. And then I have to try and convince them that they're dead and they still think that they're alive and that they're going to be married. And that's kind of where I left off. I'm in this like fetch questy type of mode now where, oh, okay, well, you should talk to such and such a person. They'd be able to help you solve that. Well, I go to where such and such a person is and they're not there. And I sleep for 4 hours, still not there. Another 4 hours, still not there. I have no idea where this person is. It's a Lady of the Water, I think it is, that I have to meet with.
Did you look in the water?
I did. She was not in the water.
Did you ask Google? The game's been out for a while.
I did. And there, what's funny is like most things of Witcher, it'll tell you, oh yeah, it's such like this individual during this time of day or during this part will appear at this location. This particular individual is nowhere in Google. Like I've typed in like the mission name, who I'm looking for, none of it. So yeah, apparently there's a second.
Google better.
Go to Reddit and ask the question. I'm sure there's people who have done that quest.
It's been done.
There's another person I can talk to apparently, so that I will look for that individual and see if I can move forward.
Oh, you didn't trigger the flag.
The flag?
Like you need to talk to that NPC first.
Well, no, I did.
Before the lady will appear.
No, I did. So I talked to one NPC who said, "Oh yeah, you should see a diviner or diviner, however you want to pronounce it, or like the Lady of the Water." I'm like, okay, cool. Lady of the Water's closest. Let me go to that person. She's not there, and the arrow points me to go to that spot and has a red circle right where she should be, and she's not there.
Oh, like maybe there's something bugged out?
Either that or I didn't trigger something else that would put her there. But it's really weird because I've triggered everything that I would need to, from my understanding, to get her to appear. So I talked to a healer who, by the way, is not referenced at any point in the mission that I need to talk to a healer. So I go talk to a healer and she says whatever she says. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then another little mission thing pops up and says, oh, well, now you can go talk to this person. I'm like, okay, it would have been great to know that I need to talk to his healer before anything else can happen. So I paused it there. I haven't checked to see if the Lady of the Water is still there since I talked to the healer. but that's kind of the pain points I'm dealing with right now in Witcher. And I've dealt with it a few times where it doesn't explicitly say the next part of the mission who you should talk to. It just says, we should find more information. Okay, what the hell does that mean? More information?
Yeah, I
Who?
think
Who has the
doesn't
information?
The Witcher have a lot of like using in-world like signs, and people aren't like follow the map marker. They're like, oh, it's north, and then turn on this street.
No,
You gotta like
there's a
know
map
what
marker.
they're talking about.
There's a map marker and arrow that tells you exactly where to go. The thing is, so you have your quests broken out as like main quests and side quests, and then sometimes your side quests that actually do affect the main quest that they don't tell you about. So in this particular quest, it says, all right, you're complete. Like you've done what you need to do, right? And then it doesn't tell me who to go talk to. So I knew of one guy. I was like, oh, let me go talk to this other guy that's like an old Witcher, and maybe he can help me out. And that's the guy that apparently was correct, right? And so it points me to go to this Lady of the Water. Arrow pops up, circle, everything I need to do. She's not present. So I'm like, all right, that's really weird. There's also other quests that have no tracking whatsoever. So you have the option to track your quest and it'll point you where you go, right? There's other main quest options that just say, I need more information, or I need to go do this, or I need to go do that. But it doesn't tell you what you need to do. It just says, I should look for more information on XYZ. All right, who has this information? So now you're like trying to remember all the characters you talk to in this particular area who maybe have some sort of understanding of what you should do. And actually, I just remembered Dandelion, the bard. He's actually the one I talked to recently, and I would have not known to talk to Dandelion unless I went to the healer that I didn't know I was supposed to talk to either. So I think I'm going to be able to complete the mission tonight when I get to playing it. But point being, it's not very clear. Directions are not clear in this game, and I wish they were.
Witcher 1?
It's Witcher 1, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good game. I like it. I'm playing the enhanced edition, actually. So, and we continued Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. We're about 60% through the game right now, based on a little percentage that comes up. I had a very frustrating moment with one section. Oh, it was brutal. Oh, actually, you guys will enjoy this. So I'm at this bridge section, right? It's a drawbridge or something, and it gets lowered down, and there's a crap ton of enemies, and they're just continually piling in, and I keep dying and keep dying, keep dying. I'm like, this is nuts. Like, I'm never going to pass this. I'm getting like super frustrated. So I said, you know what? Let me just run to where the next area is. I ran, and it just goes, okay, new sequence. All the enemies are gone. I went 30 minutes trying to finish this damn battle. It just took me running away and going to the next area where it was like, yeah, you're cool. No big deal.
It's a life lesson. Sometimes you
Yes.
don't stay and fight. Sometimes you just got to run.
Yeah. And then use your magic sword and sand of time to rewind as needed. So
It's a great game,
and I
though.
mean, that's kind of what I wound up doing at the end of Silent Hill, because there was just like there was no reason to actually fight anything, so I was just like, bye.
yeah, I kind of got that lesson. I think I had told you it was towards probably the first few hours of the game where, because your weapons do deteriorate and it's kind of hard to find like repair powder or repair kits. I don't know why I said repair powder. I think that's a different game. Might be Dark Cloud actually. Repair kits are few and far between in the game, and so even on easy mode or story mode. So yeah, I got to that point as well where, all right, unless I really need to battle an enemy in Silent Hill F, I'm not battling an enemy in Silent Hill F. I'm just going to run away. And in some instances you couldn't. Like, you're running down a hall and you've got, blade legs chasing after you along with some other creature and something howling, and you kind of have no choice. But most of the time you do have a choice to just run. So that was a great game, though. I did enjoy it. That is it on my pickups. Ryan, I see you have also no pickups, but you do have games you're playing.
Yeah, so I still haven't beaten Silk Song. I at this point, I'm not sure that I will. Actually, I'm not sure I ever was going to, but I was going to give it my best try. I'm kind of just like running around exploring right now because I know there's more like secret areas and stuff I can get into, and I've just kind of like given up on trying to, I don't know, brute force it, and I'm just casually looking at a map as I'm playing and just being like, oh, can I like poke myself up through here and get over to like whatever this area is? So I'm doing a little bit of that here and there, but honestly, I'm starting to feel the pull to want to play something else. I was looking online and at other fall type games, and Night in the Woods is something I've always wanted to play, and that's only like $10 on Steam, and that sounds kind of fun. And then it's also near the end of the year, and I got Metal Gear Solid that I got to play, so like I might go and like play that. I'm getting the itch. I'm getting all these bugs. I got to do something else. It's been like a month of just kind of dipping my toes in, getting my ass handed to me, and then grinding for more currency. And I'm just kind of like, maybe I need to move on and do something else. So I am seriously considering at this point starting my new games resolution.
You should.
Now that we are right on the cusp of November, I believe it is time.
Nothing like procrastination, right?
Oh my god, I've been playing Witcher for like 3 months now, I think. I have a good excuse to it. It's just a long game, and I just haven't had time. And I've been playing it, though.
I chose like an 8-hour game.
Yeah,
so I would have time.
I like really dove in on this one. Like, yeah, I'm at risk this year, which is kind of different. Normally, I'm finished much earlier than this. So.
You're gonna be done in like a couple of weeks.
No, not a couple weeks. I will finish by January for sure. I don't have any.
You better.
Well, yeah, I know, because otherwise I'm gonna play like Spice World or something on the PS1. It'll be my
I'll
punishment.
pick something good for you.
Oh God, I hope not. All right, so
you hope he doesn't pick something good?
No,
he wants Spice World. See?
No, Ryan's gonna pick something good by Ryan's standards, and the fact that he never beats games means he doesn't play good games.
We'll spice up your life, John. Don't worry.
Spice time is ending in 1 day here. Pumpkin spice season is ending, Ryan. So
no,
yeah,
it's still Pete. You still have squash with Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
it's
pumpkin is part of Thanksgiving. Pumpkin pie is,
but pumpkin spice. I mean, September to October time frame, right? So look, my wife just told me pumpkin spice season's ending. I'm going to take her word over you guys. She's a white lady, so come on.
The queen.
She's like, yeah, it's funny. She's like, I go full blown white girl mode in fall. My pumpkin spice and everything pumpkin. Yeah, you too, Ryan. So
I love pumpkin.
So all right,
stuff.
Let's dive into our articles that we have here. We got 2 of them. So Nintendo's Palworld lawsuit is suffering a big blow. This comes to us from comicbook.com, and there's a ton of other sites. But basically, the JPO had Nintendo patents in front of them. There was like 3 critical patents tied to their lawsuit, and there's one directly in the middle that is critical to all the patents that links them. And they pretty much invalidated that patent to say, nope, there's other games that actually came before this patent and before your lawsuit and everything that that already kind of covered what's here, right? And so now I wouldn't say Nintendo's scrambling. We kind of know how the patent world works. Nintendo can revise, make a couple of adjustments, resubmit it to the JPO, and try and get it moving forward. But what this does is it extends the amount of time that lawsuit, is going to be going through, and the amount of time that it would take them to potentially get Palworld taken off shelves and removed from consoles and sue them into oblivion. When Palworld has significant updates and other things coming out in early 2026, from what I know, which will just get them more money, right? And so it's, in a sense, a huge blow to Nintendo in that it's delaying the process pretty significantly for them. Barry, we haven't talked Palworld lawsuit with you at all, actually, so I'm interested to hear your opinion.
I mean, I almost feel like this isn't Nintendo doing this. It's Game Freak making Nintendo do this, or the Pokemon Company, the other 2/3 bullying Nintendo and saying, you have more power, do this, do this, do this. I think it's silly. I think there's so many other creature creation or raising games. I mean, back in the day, even with Pokemon, there was Monster Rancher came out on the PlayStation, and then you had Dragon Quest, or at the time Dragon Warrior Monsters on the Game Boy Color, and there was just so many other, and that game did breeding before Pokemon did. And it's having an imitation is a good thing. It's a sincerest form of flattery. And what I haven't played Palworld, but from what I understand, Palworld did a lot of things really good. People come and go from it, and they're making significant upgrades, which is always a positive thing. I feel like, everyone harps on Pokemon. They're now harping on Legend ZA. I played and beat ZA. ZA was a lot of fun. I had a blast playing it. Was it the prettiest? No. Did it, could it have been better in terms of graphical capabilities? Absolutely. And I think Game Freak is desiring to make more profit instead of putting money into. And they're afraid of other people. When the Game Boy was easy, it was graphics, whatever. Now it's cost more. That eats into their profits. They want to make more profits. They want the shareholders to be happy. And instead of investing into the largest media franchise there is, they want to be cheaper about it as much as they can. And it's funny because I was talking to a friend and I was like, I wish more developers did complete on cartridge switch. And they said, yeah, they should. I said, I agreed. I said, the 2 GB cartridge, which is the smallest cartridge, is $8, and a 4 gig is just $1 more. I said, it's $1 more. Like, come on. And then I thought about it and said, if they sell 1 million copies, even if it's complete on cartridge at 4 gig cart, that's $1 million. It's $1 million that they could choose to put in their pocket or pay out. And these big companies are choosing to use the smaller cards, 2 gig cards that need downloads because they want that extra million or 2 million or 3 million or whatever. That's extra money. That's extra revenue. They don't want to give that, even though they might sell more because people will be like, oh, it's complete on card. That's the way they look at it. And I believe Game Freak is doing the same thing. They're saying, what's the maximum budget we can make and use to bring the biggest profit deal? Because we know we're going to sell millions. And for every dollar we spend, we're losing $1 million or more dollars. But Legend ZA was like 6 million in the first week. So that's 6 million. Every dollar is $6 million that they lose. So if, thinking about that, them raising their budget, we look at them as saying you're putting more money in for a better product. They're looking at it as we're losing that much money out of our profit deal. And I think that's why they feel threatened by Palworld, because Palworld doesn't have anything to lose. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to get into this market, and they're putting that extra money in. They don't have the investors to worry about, and they don't have all these other overheads. They're smaller development studios. And I feel like Game Freak is trying to do what they can as an excuse to not spend that extra money. They have the money. They absolutely can spend it. And they can make the most kick-ass Pokemon games because the games they make are good. Like I said, Legends ZA, I have a lot of fun with it. I think it's a great system. It works. It's fun. It's entertaining and enjoyable. Does it need the top-of-the-line graphics? No. The answer is no, because it's fun. It's about gameplay first. But if it did have those, there would be less criticisms. And with less criticisms, you would then get more positivity. More positivity usually leads to more sales.
So here, I took a note down for myself in that I think this entire, because I agree, it's a frivolous lawsuit, right? Like, it should never happen to begin with. So there's 2 things that I've seen. One I wrote down for myself for my own comments, but then something I'd seen in comments in reading a lot of these articles, in that, did Game Freak see this as, hey, Palworld is going to make a lot of money. Let's sue them. Let's put them in court long enough, and then let's make our own game, right? When they die off, let's make our own game. What I think the downside to all of this is, Palworld more than likely would have fizzled out. It would have probably been a fly-by-night game. But with this lawsuit, what they've done is they put so many more eyes on Palworld, and now it's been kept in the media over and over and over again, but it's not going away. And they just have, it's free marketing. This lawsuit, at the end of the day, Palworld's, Pocket Pair is probably going to win this lawsuit at the end of the day. I don't think they're going to lose it.
No, I agree.
And all that Nintendo's done is they've blown up Pocket Pair to be a major player in the space now.
And they've heard any relationship to get Palworld on Nintendo. And they can still, I'm not saying it's irreparable damage. They can absolutely fix it, but I think it's Game Freak. I think Game Freak and potentially creatures that are putting the pressure on Nintendo. Because Nintendo, they do lawsuits. We know this, every which way. And I think that's why Game Freak's kind of hiding behind Nintendo. You guys do it. Because Game Freak is in charge of the mainline series, not Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo only publishes it.
Yeah, and
So
we've talked in the past about, if Nintendo or anybody wanted to get rid of this well in advance, they could have done the lawsuit, several years ago when it was first
yep.
announced. Well, it's more
Oh
than
yeah.
several years ago now, but
Game.
when it first came out and people were like, "Oh, it looks like Pokemon Guns." Okay, put in the cease and desist and work on that now, right? Why
Right
wait
away.
for it to come out and be a success?
Now, the whole thing about like the leaks and like, oh, it looks like Nintendo's doing their own kind, or Game Freak is doing their own Palworld. That may not necessarily be because of Palworld. They could have already been working on it behind the scenes because there's a ton we don't know about.
Yeah.
So we just, we find out about it after the fact, but they actually might have thought of it first, and Palworld beat them to the punch. It's kind of like if you remember when was it AM2R came out, and
Great game, by the way.
Nintendo put this great game, put a cease and desist on it because they had Samus Returns. No one knew about Samus Returns; it hadn't been announced, and it's not like Nintendo just was like, let's have Mercury Steam make Samus Returns in this short amount of time. That was already in the works, and there was a reason they did that because of conflict of interest. They wanted it on the official product. So we don't know, and maybe the league said it. I haven't looked at the leagues, but we don't know when this project started. If this project started before Palworld was even shown off. Maybe Palworld started first, but if Palworld hasn't been shown off yet, then it doesn't matter. Then they
Yeah.
were working on something and they saw Palworld's trailer and said, oh, they're copying our idea, or somehow they figured it out, or they're doing the same thing. They clearly were feeling threatened. And again, why didn't they do it at the start? Maybe Game Freak wanted to. Maybe they were pressuring Nintendo and Nintendo was like, no. And after a while, they were just like, screw it, whatever, fine, we'll do it. Shut up. You're the kid poking and going, mommy, 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 like a Family Guy, like what? Hi, and running away. That's that. For all we know, that's what's happening. Because a lot of people put pressure on Nintendo when dealing with Pokemon, and they only own a third of the company, and they don't make the mainline games. They only publish it. Like they don't put the budget. It's Game Freak doing the budget. So just I think Game Freak is the cause of this, and I think it's stupid. I think games should like have blatant copyright. Like if it was a character that clearly was Mario, but called Malio or something. Like yeah, obviously that's a duh.
It's to
That's
me,
a duh thing. But if it's one of those things where, catching in a ball, like no, look at that as saying they want to imitate us, so we got to up our game, and that's where consumers win is when there's competition.
Yeah.
When there's a monopoly, nothing.
And
And in the long run, that's how you establish genre, and that's how you kind of like build out a whole gaming industry. I mean, I'm not the first person to have this thought. I heard somebody talking about it earlier, but I mean, like Mario wasn't the first like platformer. Like Nintendo's gonna get all uppity about, hey, we invented this thing, so it's only ours. When they have games that are based and inspired off of other things too, like that's a total ripoff. But I mean, my biggest worry in this whole thing is that they may be getting stricken down for this copyright, but it does say that, I mean, it's kind of a revolving door there, and they can resubmit it as many times as they want. So I mean, with Nintendo's money and patience, like who's to say this is really a stopping point at all? Like this could just be a bump in the road on Nintendo smoothing out all the wrinkles on their master plan here and just getting their way again.
The strategy, and we talked about this in the past when it comes to patent offices in the US and anywhere else in the globe, is that they wear down the patent office by continuing to make update after update after update. And it's just, it could be a minor update, but they resubmit it. And then they resubmit again and resubmit again. And to the point where the patent office just, okay, whatever, like pass it. It's done. Right. And so that's what was so shocking with the US patent office when they passed the several patents that Nintendo had put into place recently, in that it just got accepted right away. People were like, wait, that's not supposed to happen. It's supposed to go through pretty, stringent process to make sure that it gets done, over time. There's always some sort of back and forth that happens. So it did catch a lot of people off guard. So the way the Japanese patent office is going right now is realistically how the US patent office should have been operating with Nintendo's patents.
because everything's so well known for working the way it's supposed to these days.
especially in the
we're
United States.
we're really in that direction, aren't we?
That's look, historically, that's how a patent office is supposed to work. So, and that's what happens usually in the back end from what we've been reading. All right, Ryan, anything else on Palworld? I know you love talking Palworld lawsuit.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where they should both be able to just coexist, but when Nintendo views everything as a product more than an art, and they just want to wring everything they can out of it, they're going to fight tooth and nail, and they're never really going to relent. But I mean, I'm always going to root for Palworld to just like stick it to them and just keep it going, because like at this point they've made so much money off of that. If they can spin that off into other things and be maybe a little less spicy and combative against Nintendo, then maybe whatever they work on next could really hit it out of the park and just be something that nobody can really stand in the way of.
You know who?
No.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was
Barry.
gonna say I disagree with you about the Nintendo not seeing games as art, because I'd say of all of them, Nintendo sees games as art more than any other game developer out there of the big guys.
Well, I think he's
There was like a quote from Miyamoto or something.
yeah, he's referring to
where it was
Miyamoto
like,
specifically saying that actually.
Miyamoto is he's a brilliant designer, but like we already know, like he's not big into story. He's all gameplay. Like that was the joke. I don't know if you caught the joke in the Mario Galaxy reveal and the Nintendo Direct. Did you catch the joke that happened?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if you know
Yeah.
the story. Like when Galaxy came out, he didn't want story. He was just like whatever. And comes out. I forget his name now. The producer wanted the Rosalina storybook and put that in there and did it, and he wanted it to be even bigger. And Miyamoto was like, no. And like for Galaxy 2, it got cut out. So with the remake that they just did, they put the storybook in the second game. They added more pages. And if you watch the direct, Miyamoto's talking about Galaxy, and there's like, all right, now to you to talk about the story. Like he passes it off to him because he's like, I don't even want to talk about the story. You got what you wanted. Here you go. And that's the truth. He looks at the gameplay as a brilliant designer. Brilliant designer when it comes to gameplay, when it comes to scenarios, when it comes to world building. But when it comes to story, he hasn't had the best track record. That's his biggest fault. And that's fine. Other people carry it and carry that torch. But I look at Nintendo in terms with a game developer. I mean, they do things very much so
I mean,
arts. They worry more
this-
about presentation
in
and
this same
gameplay.
lawsuit, they said that mods aren't considered prior art.
Because mods aren't official. They're not authorized. They're not. It's kind of like if you made a movie and you said, this is the movie, this is my beginning, this is my middle, this is my end, this is my story to tell, and then someone came over and said, oh well, you know what, I'm going to chop it up and I'm going to put the middle first, and then I'm going to put the ending, and then I'm going to end with the beginning, and change up the format. And you'd be like, wait, no, that's not how I wanted to tell the story. That's not the way.
But a
it's gonna go.
reasonable director would still look at it as a film.
Well,
Is it a film? Yeah, that's a broad thing. It's still a game. It's still a film. It's still a book. There's historicals. Like if you look at writing, there's between the writer and the editor, there are so many historical battles between the two jobs because of that. And sometimes there's been cases where a writer puts out their version and an editor puts out another version, and you get two different books. And then we've seen that with movies like Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, and the theatrical cut. We've seen that Zack Snyder Justice League versus Joss Whedon Justice League. We've seen that before. So modders do some incredible things, and it's funny. And it's sometimes they make the game better, sometimes they make the game funny, sometimes they make the game worse. But in terms of it's your baby, your project, modders come into your sandbox that you didn't open up to anybody. You let people play, but you didn't let them do anything else but play. But now they're messing up. It's like an Airbnb. You go to an Airbnb and you stay and you enjoy the house, and then you leave. You don't come into the house and then go, you know what, I'm going to demo this wall because I think this room needs to be a little bigger, and then I want to change this. And it's like, whoa, hold on, you don't own the house.
I think it's a little. I think it's a little different
So,
though.
like,
I think using the argument as, if you think about it from a lawsuit perspective, like Pocket Souls would be one, right? Like, let's just say the Pocket Souls mod, it's out there, people are using it, and Nintendo hasn't thrown out a cease and desist. I'm just not saying they haven't, but let's just say Nintendo did not have a cease and desist for that, or there was another modded game of Nintendo that maybe took elements of Pokemon and threw it in there. I think you could make the argument of, well, Nintendo didn't care about this in market. They didn't care that there was Pocket Souls and their IP being infringed upon in some capacity through a mod. So why would it apply here? And I get the argument both
That's an
ways.
open whataboutism.
It is an open
Because it's
whataboutism.
always
Yeah.
going to be, well, what about this?
Well,
You didn't say,
But I mean, that's the argument, right?
that's the whole crux of the argument in the context with the lawsuit, is that Palworld was trying to assert that these patents, these game ideas you're saying that we stole, they've been used before. Here's examples. And then Nintendo was like, no, those are just mods. That's not real. Like, that doesn't count as a game. That's just a thing somebody did that we don't care about.
because it wasn't a
It was very
marketable thing,
dismissive.
though. It's very different between something for market and something like for profit and something that is not for profit.
Well, I mean, you could argue that some of those modders
AM2R?
are taking profit in some capacity.
Though that's
That's
because
different, yeah.
that's different. They actually did have a game coming out, and that could be taking away sales.
Yeah.
From them. You need to recoup. That's different. But it's kind of like if you go to a convention and someone has perler beads of Mario and they're selling them. They're not officially licensed by Nintendo to do that. Nintendo's not coming there and saying, no,
But they could.
we're suing.
They would if they
legally
could.
they could, but they're not as petty
I think
as
that's
people
the
think.
modder part. Legally, Nintendo could sue a modder and say, hey,
Correct.
that infringes on our IP in some capacity. We're going to protect our IP, and Nintendo has every right to do so. But the fact that they did not, and then Palworld saying, well, hey, look, you could have done it here. You didn't do it over here. So,
And maybe they didn't even know about all those.
maybe, yeah. I don't know. Nintendo seems to know a lot.
They
Right,
do,
they're
but they
ninjas.
still don't know everything.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I think people give them more credit in that regards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just not worth it. Like
Yeah.
you said, if they didn't say anything to Palworld, it wouldn't have been blown up as big as it did. So maybe they look at these modders and go, this game has 150 people or 200 people or even 1,000 people, and they're modding it like, if we bring we're going to do more harm than good. Let's just look
Just
the
for
other way. Let them
PR,
have
yeah.
it. Just for PR. Like, let's just do that. So I feel like there's more.
They also
nuances
like
to that.
stopped all the like Smash tournaments and stuff. Like, they've been pretty bullying with
That-
a lot of communities.
The Smash thing, I don't agree with. I mean, that was a tournament I think it was a charity tournament
Yeah,
too.
it was.
Like, come on, like that's free publicity. They did that stupid thing with YouTube. I don't know if you remember, it was years ago where they created like the YouTube creator program, and they're like, no, you have to be authorized to show off Nintendo games because you're making money off Nintendo
and now
games.
people don't want to show Nintendo games.
And then people are like, well, then I'm not going to show it off.
Change happening.
And there is some change. They're definitely loosening up because it's advertisements.
Yeah.
It's free advertisement for you by these people playing these games and showing off your games.
Yeah.
I thought it was dumb then. A lot of people did, and like you said, Ryan, they're loosening that up. And I think they're doing that. Like I said, I don't even think this lawsuit was Nintendo's idea. I do think Game Freak is the one that did this and forced Nintendo's hand.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't seem like they would have done this way before. Dragon Quest Monsters would have gotten it right away. And instead, what happened? Every Dragon Quest Monsters game has been exclusive to Nintendo, including the newest one is exclusive to the Switch. At least everyone I'm aware of. I don't know if there's any. Maybe there's a PC one or something. Or Steam as well.
Joker was so good.
Joker was so good. And Joker 1 and 2 were DS games. Like I said, there's been so many other things. Even games like Final Fantasy 11 online actually did something with like pictures. Like you took a picture of the creature and it became like on a card, and you battled them in an arena using it. It was like Pokemon on an MMO, and you were just you raised the creatures and you didn't touch it.
Let's contact Palworld and tell them to use that as an example.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
just messing around.
That's not throwing a ball, though. I mean, it
No,
is using pictures.
Yeah.
It's something different. It's the same idea using a different method.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we could probably go for hours. So
Right.
my perfect segue was going to be if Pocket Pair and Nintendo can't coexist. I know two organizations that now are coexisting, and that is Microsoft and Sony. So Ryan's article here is on the Halo series heading over to PlayStation for the first time. This comes from BBC. So Ryan, you take it away, sir.
Yeah, so I mean, this has been whispered on the winds for some time now. I mean, it all started with 4 games, and we would see where it would go from there. And obviously, they've given away the whole store at this point. So, with a remake of Halo, I mean, that's cool enough as is, but actually being able to put it out on platforms that people care about and want to be on, like, that's a genius marketing move right there. So I think that it's mind-boggling because it's one of those things that's kind of so obvious that if nobody wants to buy your console, just put your games out on the consoles that people have and you'll sell way more copies, especially when you're giving away the game on your console for, I mean, not free, but for a subscription service. Like, that's what most people are participating in newest Xbox games is through Game Pass. And so they're losing sales. Nobody's really coming into the ecosystem. But man, to just like, we were talking before the podcast, like, this is a Sonic going over to Nintendo moment that people a decade ago or more so would have never even been able to imagine seeing at this point. And we're finally here.
I'd say probably more than a decade ago, because I think even during the PS4 era, you could have thought, there might be a chance of Master Chief coming over to PlayStation. I would put it
Yeah,
more.
how long ago was the Halo TV show? Was that
Oh, that
10
was
years
recent.
yet?
That was like,
No,
no,
That was more
that was
recent?
a
recent.
couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm
2 years
talking
ago now.
like OG Xbox and the 360, back when
Yeah.
Xbox was, really establishing itself at that point as a dominant console in the market. At that point, I would have never envisioned Halo, Gears of War, or anything coming over to PlayStation. And so now we're here, right? We got
Forza as well.
Forza, yeah, it was the other one. So, yeah, like you said, they gave away the whole store. It's all coming over to Sony.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to just do with, like, I for lack of a more accurate term, just poor stewardship. Like, this should have always been the premier headlining game that was treated the best and was always the best. But I just feel like after 4, like, and even maybe 4, I don't know. I didn't play very much of that one, but like, the last few Halos just have not been well received, and the one that was supposed to launch the latest generation, it got delayed, and then it didn't meet all of its promises, and then it kind of just fizzled out into something that you just never hear anybody talk about anymore. And it's just like, for your premier headliner mascot franchise to have fallen so low is just, it follows right alongside with the console itself. And I'm hoping that this remake, being able to put it out on newer consoles for people who maybe, there's people who are only ever had Sony systems. Like, maybe your first console was a PS4 or a PS3 and you've just never had an Xbox and you've never played Halo.
Oh, no, that's
like,
not a
this
case.
is going to be awesome.
No,
to get
we
that.
all played Halo, even if we didn't have an Xbox. We had a friend that had it, and we all went over there.
Well, but he's talking
we
PS3,
did, but, like,
PS4, like maybe there.
I guess,
Yeah.
If you were like 10 and you had a PS3 and you just, like, that's all you played, and you just grew up with PlayStation people. I don't
Talk
know.
about whataboutism, Barry.
Yeah.
No, I'm just messing around.
No, but he's right though. There are people that never played other systems. They've only played Sony. They've only played Microsoft. They've only played Nintendo. That's what the whole freaking console wars, which is
Well, it's over
such
now.
a stupid term. It's never been a real thing. It's always been a marketing thing. It's always been PR. It's it started back in Atari versus Television, really in Television versus Atari. They would take swings at Atari because they were like, this is the way we're going to get our foot in the door. And same thing, Sega came in taking swings at Nintendo. I can only remember one time Nintendo actually took a swing at Sega, which was when Mario All-Stars was like included with the Super Nintendo. And like, look, you get 5 games here with this system versus 1 at the other guys. Atari with the do your math. Like, that's all marketing PR. If you kid on
Crash
the playground,
Bandicoot with the megaphone.
oh yeah. Well, Nintendo did do the funny video with Star Fox 64 where they captured the Sega and the Sony rep, the VHS tape they sent out. I don't know if you ever saw it.
I remember.
And they were showing off Star Fox 64 with the Rumble Pack, and it was like, oh my god, this is gonna blow us away, and it did. But it was just funny because when you're a kid, you can only afford one console. Your parents only have one console. Back in the 80s and 90s, that was the thing. There wasn't a lot of choice. So you were a Nintendo kid, or you were a Sega kid, or you were a Atari kid, and that was you had to defend your console because you didn't want to feel left out. It was silly, it was petty, and the PR and the marketers were like, "Thank you for the money." Ever since then, it just became a joke, and to this day, I mean, now there's so many choices, there's so many consoles. You could literally say, "I only have a PS2," and play PS2 for a decade and never be bored. There's just enough games, especially with backwards compatibility. So I feel like hasn't been relevant for a long time. And even if you look at the marketing, if you will, or the sales, I mean, just for this since the turn of the century in 2000s, right? The PS2 dominated. And what happened? Sony got arrogant and they made the PS3,
which lost money,
and the PS3 failed hard. Microsoft started off in second place, if you will, with the Xbox, and they came at the 360, and the 360 hit all strides. It launched early, it did fantastic, had great games, came in second. Well, it had the red rings, yes, but even the red rings didn't stop it from being second place for all the way to the end, and then PlayStation just topped it.
And
with
a
the
lot
PS3.
of that you can argue is just Sony continuing to sell for a longer period of time to try.
Longer period, oh, definitely. They always do that.
Well, they didn't even finish first technically a generation. It would have been the Wii that finished first that generation.
Wii finished first, absolutely. Yeah. But I'm saying they edged Microsoft at the end for second place. But then what did Microsoft do? They got cocky. They got cocky just like Sony did, and they did the DRM. The Xbox One is always on DRM. Oh, you don't own your games. And what did Sony do in response? Here's how to share games with the PlayStation 4. That one little video just handing over the game was enough to crumble what Microsoft did. And it didn't help that Nintendo's answer was the Wii U, which also bombed, which gave the PS4 this 3 years of full dominance before the Switch came into play. And the Switch obviously answered back much harder. And again, even that, look, Nintendo was dominant with the Wii. They were what did they do? They just went with the Wii U. And again, it's once you get this dominance, they seem to just tank afterwards to the very, very bottom.
I feel like we're kind of seeing that with the Switch 2. I haven't looked at sales.
But no, it's the fastest selling system of all time.
I mean, I get that component because you have that, but I kind of see the cockiness with the Switch 2 in a sense. So the direction that Nintendo was gone, it feels like that bit of cockiness. Not saying that it's selling poorly or it's going to fail. I mean, I think maybe long-term it could, but I could see that cockiness, right?
Long-term, it's not going to outperform the Switch. Uh-huh. It's not, and it very rarely does a follow-up ever outperform. PS2 outbeat the PS1. That was only because of the DVD player. Yeah. That was a genie in a it was a lightning in a bottle.
Sony tried to do that Blu-ray actually,
and it failed spectacularly.
Yeah. And Microsoft tried to
HD DVD,
which was even worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But ever since that with the Xbox One, when they did that DRM and they backpedaled on it, the Xbox One never was able to catch up, and the series just faltered. Having two models, making it confusing. And again, Game Pass is brilliant on paper. Brilliant. If you're not making any games and you're just providing services. Oh, wait, we have that. It's called Steam. And they're just, Steam is kind of that just without a subscription. Microsoft wanted to do the subscription, but they're also providing games. So when you make a game and you put it on there and hoping it drives subscriber numbers, maybe it gives you a little bit of a bump. But say you have 5 million people subscribing. Those 5 million people are now playing your game. You're not getting any sales. You lose out on, if even one person of those 5 million was going to buy your game, you lost that sale. And the more they went into Game Pass, the more it seemed like they're switching to third party. They realize they can't compete hardware. They
Well-
can't compete hardware in terms of sales. Power, yes.
Yeah. Now,
Well, and they'd rather be in the cloud. Like, anyways, they'd rather, bolster up the rest of their, PC, Microsoft, like actually what the company does, and stop giving these kids money to play around with video games on the side.
Well-
Like, let's get back to serious computing.
well, and
here.
Microsoft's never been a hardware company. Microsoft's always been a software company, first and foremost.
Always.
So the hardware
Yep.
component's always been a secondary aspect of them. So, I mean, the Zune being a good example compared
Oh,
to
the
try and go
Zune.
against the iPod, great hardware, right? And in theory could have dominated, but
I loved my
they're
Zune
not a
for the
hardware company.
6 months I had it.
And so that's why you see like the ROG Access Ally Xbox or whatever, it's like
Yep.
$1,000, right? Because they're
$1,000
dipping
bucks.
out of that. And when we talk about this premium experience like we did last week of Microsoft saying, yeah, we're gonna have the next generation is premium, it's gonna be a higher price and all this good stuff that comes with it. I mean, Microsoft's probably looking at that from an aspect of ship it out to a third party, they'll create it, it'll be $1,500 or something. And you know what? We're selling our console right now for $700. Well, hey, if we get the same amount of people that buy it for $1,500, we'll double our sales, right? So,
Well, you're going to see Microsoft is literally going the way of Sega. They're following. You're going to see At Games put out Microsoft plug and play things soon, like they do with Sega. Why do they keep Sega giving the license?
Oh
to
my
cheap
god,
makers?
like a little mini Xbox 360 that has like Gears and Halo 3 on it? Yes.
Yeah, but it's going to be
Yes.
made by At Games, so it's going to be terrible
and then it's gonna
because that's
It's gonna have wired controllers.
it'll probably the startup when you press the button will have the little red light of death, and then it'll turn on. Like, it'll
Oh
be-
yeah,
that'll be funny.
Oh, I'm here for that.
But that's really what's happening is Microsoft is shifting to a third party.
Yeah.
They're still going. They say there's another console coming out. Sure, fine, whatever. It's not going to like the market share they had with the 360 was huge. People gamed on the 360, and there was one big advantage they also had over the PS3. Games were developed on PC and ported to the 360 very, very easily. The PS3 architecture was very difficult to port to, and a lot of games that got PS3 versions performed worse than the 360.
Mhm.
That's not the case anymore. They're so close between the PS5 and the Xbox Series that both games perform well enough, and we've hit this plateau. We really have hit this plateau. We can get more megapixels and make it a little bit more. We're photorealistic already. What are we? 280 frames per second? You can't see that fast. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's why you're seeing Nintendo, the Switch was not as powerful. Now you're seeing the Switch 2 catch up in power and more ports going over. And, compensation, what's 30 frames versus 60 frames? If you can't see a frame difference, what does it matter? Now you have a portable version. Okay, well, now I got a portable version. Cool.
I can see
And-
30 and 60.
I
tell you
can't.
that. Oh, I can't.
I can't.
Oh yeah,
I
it drives me
honestly can't.
crazy. Yeah.
Oh, no. I can. 30
Anybody who
frames
watches
doesn't bother me.
my streaming on YouTube will see sometimes when I'm playing a game, I'll shift between performance or frame rate, and I do it quite often because at some point I'm like, man, that looks terrible. Let me swap it to the other one. Then I'll play it for a little bit. I kind of like the other version better. So I'm definitely able to see it to that extent.
See, I can't, as long as it's stable. If it's dropping, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if it's stable, doesn't faze me at all. Like, whatever.
Mhm.
But to go 120 to go whatever, like,
Yeah,
we're
240
at
and
this
all that.
plateau at this point where the next system's going to be more powerful. But to what extent? Like I have an 8K TV.
you need a better pitch.
Yeah, I have an 8K TV. You know how much 8K content I've watched? Nothing. I've seen upscaled 4K, but I can't tell the difference really because there's no content for 8K. And even if they do, how many people have that? How many people are going to go for that TV? If you don't have a monitor to
Until the
support it,
NFL broadcasts.
I
in it.
Yeah.
think the PlayStation 5 was being marketed as 8K content for some
Yeah,
time.
they
and
took
then
it off the
removed
box
it.
now.
Yeah, they removed it. So like there
Yeah.
was that for a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
because that's why, like, even Nintendo with the Wii, people said, why don't you go HDMI? They said, well, because there's not as many HD TVs in America as CRTs still at that point. So that's why we did
Yeah.
it, because there's a larger market share. Now, obviously, everybody's got an HD TV, but everybody has either a 1080p or now a 4K. But if there's not an audience for it, they're not going to produce. There's no reason to. So at this point, it's all about the games. And Microsoft realizes that. They can make another expensive hardware. What's the point? They're going to lose money on it. They could put their games on PlayStation and make more money. Put their games on PC, make more money. Put their games on Switch, make more money.
Yep.
I mean,
it's going to be. Sorry.
I was just going to say it's wild now that I'm with a company that does retail sales, I'm seeing like numbers and seeing like what systems are performing. And I'll tell you, no secret, Xbox is performing the worst of all of PC, Switch, and PlayStation. It usually goes like PC, Switch, PlayStation.
So what you're saying is collectors should buy all of the Xbox games because they're going to be the lowest sales.
Honestly, yes. Very, very few people are doing Xbox physicals. We're still doing some Xbox physicals, but Xbox physicals have a lower print run for sure.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the audience is smaller.
Yeah.
That was the whole big. Remember Atari on the 2600? They made more.
Yeah. Even the Wii U is a
prime
good
example,
right? Yeah.
Prime example. Vita, same thing.
Yeah.
Vita and Wii U were high collectible systems because they failed. Because there wasn't a lot. So if a game comes out on Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox, let's say the Switch produced, let's say 50,000 physicals, PlayStation produces 35,000 physicals, and Xbox produces 1,000 or 2.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Supply and demand. There's only so much supply to go around.
And then if you factor in performance, if the Xbox version actually does perform better, then I mean that's also something to factor in long term, right? That's the better game theoretically, and the best place to play it. In theory,
I mean, performance is so close now between the systems overall.
Yeah.
Because even the Switch is, Switch 2 may be slightly less powerful than the PS5, especially the PS5 Pro and the Xbox Series X. But developers know that, and they're tailoring their games now. It's not just a dirty port. Like, we're just going to bring this over. It's not meant to. They're making their ports specifically run better on the Switch 2 so that you're getting that, not dirty, not that crappy PS3 port.
Yeah, and like you guys are making sure everything's on the cart, but whenever I see some of these like game carts that come out, it's like, cool, do you want to pay for the worst version of this game that isn't even completely on, the thing that you bought, instead of buying it on like PS5 or something where it's like it's all there on the disc instead?
And you're right. I'm very much anti game key card. Some people will say, well, not every PlayStation, Xbox game is on the disc. There are some. Call of Duty's a big one where it's just a download link. Screw that.
Well, that's like a bajillion gigs.
Yeah. But again, like when we did Black Myth, I wasn't with the company then. I joined right after. But from what I understand, and talking with our CEO and everything, they worked magic to compress that game to fit it on a Blu-ray, because a Blu-ray can only hold so much, and these games are getting bigger and bigger, at least the AAA games. So it is harder and harder to put all the game on the disc. Like even with the Switch, the Final Fantasy VII Remake is like 90-something gigs, and the Switch 2, it's 64 gig. Like that's the complete on cartridge, 64 gig. So the only way they could do it is if Nintendo put a bigger cartridge or made a bigger cartridge. They haven't announced anything yet. So in a case like that, all you could do is shrug and say it's not going to be complete on cart. But then you have to say, is the Xbox version going to be complete on disc? They probably yes. But for a game like Call of Duty that's way bigger, is it going to be complete on disc?
And a majority of like PlayStation games, for example, PS5, PS4, even if the updates and things happen, they're still playable, right? You can still play the full game. So.
Well, same with a lot of Switch games. They're completely playable, and there's now groups online that will do that. Does it play and stuff like that. They will play through a game on the cartridge or on the disc and be like, no, in airplane mode. They can't download anything. Can you beat the game?
Yeah,
and see what's there. And it's kind of fascinating because we've come to this. Collectors before where I just want to own the game. Now it's I want to own the complete game. I want to own the best version. There's Switch revision cartridges. There's PlayStation disc and Xbox revisions. One of the big ones that I always call back to is Spyro. If you remember when Spyro came out on PS4 and Xbox One, they did the original trilogy remastered, but only the first game was on the disc.
Yeah.
And people said, why was only the first game on that Blu-ray? Why do I have to download 2 and 3? That's stupid. And they actually did a reprint, but they didn't change the art. The only way to know is to look at the disc and look at the copyright. I think it's like 2018 and 2019 is the version that has all 3 on the disc. But they didn't do anything. They're just like, we're going to silently put this out, but the outside still says download required. There's no way to know without opening it up and looking at the disc.
I'm pretty sure my version that I own is all 3. My wife played those, and I don't believe she had to download them. I think it was all on disc.
Well, it's an easy way is to look at the disc and look at the copyright.
Yeah, I'll take a
because
look.
2018 was it launched, and then the reprint was in 2019, so they had to put a new copyright. But that's all they changed. So and again, that should have always been complete on disc to begin with. But how many other games are there like that? There are Switch games where like they'll come out in Japan, let's say, or Asia, and it's only in Japanese, but there's an English patch. So it's a free English patch. You can put it in your Switch. You can download the English patch, play it in English. I am Setsuna, but that's actually all on cartridge. I'm talking there are ones that when they're printed, there's no English on the cartridge, and then you have to download that. But then it gets a reprint, and the reprint has English on the cartridge, and they change the cover to say that it has English, but they don't make a big announcement. They just happens. And if a collector doesn't notice it, then you never know. And how big is that reprint? Is the cartridge with English that much rarer?
Well,
and it is.
I am Setsuna is an interesting one because like the PlayStation version, like just normal PlayStation can't play it. It's Japanese all the way through. I mean, I can't play it, right? But the Korean version actually does have the English and is pretty rare. And then of course the Nintendo Switch version is all on cart, so it's it's cheaper.
Yeah, there's a ton of that, and that's where collecting is going now. It's baffling, and Microsoft doesn't care about collectors. They just want money, and look what they did with Game Pass, right? They upped it by 50% to $30 a month. That's ridiculous. $30 a month, like
I mean,
then what new value are you adding? Activision
that's
Blizzard.
Why I'm gonna stop.
Well, I mean, so
because it's gonna be $360 for Game Pass. So
that's a joke.
I'm just gonna buy a PS5 finally instead.
Well, so I think we talked about this
and then I'll get the Halo on it.
Well, you still have the tiered system where I think there is still a $15 tier. It just doesn't have a number of the other things. So what I've read is that Microsoft, because of all the new releases and things that are on that higher tier, to try and price people out, to not do that, to get some money, right, still on $30, but price them out and have them go down to the $15 so they feel like they have to purchase Call of Duty on disc, right? So they're going to make more money by having you purchase a $70 game here and there and feel like you're still getting value at $15 a month when realistically you're not, because you're purchasing
except that didn't happen, and so many people canceled that it crashed the website because they didn't gradually increase it. They literally ripped the Band-Aid off and said, boom, new price. And when you look at that and you look at like Nintendo Online, like the base Nintendo Online gets you $20 a year. And then, and that gets you Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Game Boy games as well. Expansion pack is $45 a year.
Which is still a good deal.
Which is a great deal. But then the family pack it's like $75 a year. And that gets you 8 accounts. Or is it $80 a year, whatever. It's 8 accounts, like with all the NSO games. 80.
I'm
that's
bumming
insane.
it off of my friend.
Exactly. You could bum it off of a friend. You could split, 50-50. Like I have
gotta send him some money.
My wife has it. My father-in-law has it. It's just we share it amongst the family. We're like, this is fantastic. $80 a year. That's a steal, especially when Microsoft is like
that.
$30 a month. It's like, so for less than for 3 months for Xbox Live or Xbox Game Pass, I could have an entire year, and 7 other people could also enjoy.
Well, and
I mean, they are promising the moon. I think it was like 60 or 70 like new games a year.
I will say it is still all perspective though, because it depends on the value that you're going to get out of it. And it's not to defend the $30 price point, but if you're an individual who can knock out a ton of new games, right? $30 a month is actually still not bad in that perspective. But somebody like Ryan or myself, where we just frankly maybe play like 2 new games a year, that's not worth it. Right? I'd rather just...
Yeah, I know. The month I've been playing Silksong, I could have bought it for $20.
Yeah.
saved $10 and owned it forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. So like for us, it doesn't make any sense, but there are people out there to play a significant amount of games that it does make sense at $30 a month, right?
You're right. The problem is
The vast
at
consumer
$20
is no.
at $20 a month, it was at that spot where even if it didn't make sense, you kind of felt like, you know what, fine, I'll just do it. It's not that bad. $20, like I can digest that. But when it's that sticker price shock
Yeah.
of going to 30, that it's like, well, hold on, it doesn't make
Yeah.
I
sense.
should have done
Like-
$29.99.
Like Ryan said, you know, if I'm gonna play Silksong and I'm gonna play it for a month, I might as well just pay $20, save $10, because you can only play one game at a time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can be in the middle of multiple games at a time, but you could physically really only play one game at a time. And there's just so much out there.
Yeah, the ability to demo games is amazing for it, but I mean, really, in that case, that's the reason they should just have more game demos. Like, you know,
And you shouldn't need to
instead
pay
of nobody
a
buying
service
the game, if you just
Yeah.
had people could play demos, you would sell more. Like,
Well, I think you could PlayStation. I don't think you have to have an account to demo games. You just demo
No,
them.
same with Nintendo. You don't need an account.
well, I
you
just mean
demo.
like more games should have demos. Like, then people wouldn't use Game Pass as like a demo service that's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And I agree.
Well, we could probably go hours on this. So
Right.
let's dive into
Let's jam.
Let's go into NBA Jam. So this was developed by Midway, published by Midway, and Acclaim Entertainment, designed by Mark Turmel, Sean Liptuk, Jamie Rivet, Sal DeVita, John Carlton, and Tony Goski. It was released in March of 1994. It is a sports game with a reception of 8 out of 10 on average. And Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and do your synopsis. It's pretty lengthy here. 2-on-2 basketball with extra arcadey kick like turbo and fiery high-flying dunks. There we go. We're done. All right.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't played this in I don't even know how long. Like, I definitely have some memories of playing it like a long time ago, probably at like somebody else's house or like an after school club if they had a Nintendo or something like that. Because as soon as I booted it up, the Phoenix Suns, Dan Marley, right there. Like, I remember the 90s and my mom always talking about Dan Marley, and I was like, boom, I'm gonna be the Suns. And I got my ass handed to me, but you know, that wasn't my fault. I kept missing and getting blocked, and then when I would try to block, it would call goaltending, and I didn't understand the difference.
Well, goaltending is when the ball is coming down and you touch it before it, goes in, Ryan.
Well, they were blocking the ball from going into the hoop.
Well, yeah, because they were doing a better
and
job.
They weren't getting fouled.
They were doing a better job of blocking, clearly. You're just not good at sports games, man. Every sports game that we've ever had, you
Not.
just fail epically.
Because I don't know how they work. I don't know sports.
You throw the basketball
What-
hoop.
What about the Mario sports games?
Oh,
You
I
failed those too?
demolished. I've demolished them in every one that we've played.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When we played, I think it was Mario
I
Soccer.
mean, you beat me at most games in general.
That's true.
I would say.
That's true. But there's a few you've got me on. But like Mario Soccer specifically, I want to say, Barry, it was like 10-0. It was insane.
Oh my
I had never played that.
I hadn't either.
Strikers is fun.
I hadn't played it either. Yeah, Strikers. I hadn't played it either. But
You know what you need to do next time? Play Mega Man Soccer. There you go.
oh no, I think we're good.
Why? Mega Man Soccer is fun.
Well, I guess is it soccer season technically still? Playoffs are
There you
I
starting.
mean,
go.
we can't play it together though.
No.
No, but we could still play it separately, and you could talk about how you failed and I did well. So okay.
There you go.
So Mega Man Soccer is our next game.
Are we doing sports month?
I guess we
Is
are.
that what's happening?
I guess we are doing sports month. Baseball is next. It is still technically. We should have done baseball because World Series is going on right now. But we can do a hockey game next after that, Ryan. We'll get through it all. All the sports are happening
Okay.
right now. Football is following. Maybe we'll do backyard football. But back to NBA Jam. I mean,
No
this-
Super Bowl. Come on.
yeah, well, Super Bowl's February, so we'll have to do it then. But we could do all playoffs as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a basketball game, right? So I remember playing this one pretty much as a kid as well. So there's a lot of good memories tied to this title. But one of the interesting things that I never really thought about when I was younger is the players that are actually missing. So like Michael Jordan's technically not in the game, Shaquille O'Neal's not in the game. Like Midway didn't secure the rights to some of the key players. So to see the critical success that this game actually was without star players being in the game to begin with, it's actually pretty cool when you think about it in that respect.
Were they in like the second one, or like I know there were more?
There were
was like a
more.
tournament edition.
Yeah, there were other versions released down the road where they were supposed to be included, but like specifically this initial version, yeah, Michael Jordan wasn't on there, Shaquille O'Neal wasn't. They removed, let's see, Drazen Petrovic and Reggie Lewis because both of them had died after release of the game, so they were removed from the home version. So the game itself, yeah, it was missing some star players, and yeah, and
But it had Bill Clinton.
What?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
The
yeah. Bill
sax
Clinton's
man?
is in NBA Jam.
Oh.
The cheat code.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't
There's
know that.
there's a lot of hidden characters depending on your cheat codes.
Yeah, Godzilla and Bart Simpson, I know, are a couple that were planned, but I don't think they were actually. Yeah, they weren't released.
Yeah, if you look up like hidden characters or secret characters in
Going.
NBA Jam.
Let's look that up
That
now.
was so funny. I was like, oh my god, I'm playing Bill Clinton playing basketball.
NBA Jam. Let's see, hidden characters.
Bill and Hillary.
That's right. Hillary was there
Will
too.
Smith,
That's
Jazzy
Hillary.
Jeff, Prince Charles, Al
Charles.
Gore, Warren
Oh,
Moore.
Tim's in it too. No, actually, hold on. Yeah, he can be unlocked with MJT initials. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, see?
Raiden, Sub-Zero.
I wasn't kidding.
Yeah, there's quite a lot. There's mascots. You got fuzzy monsters on here, apparently. Yeah, wow. Interesting.
ESPN team.
The ESPN team. Well, okay. So, I mean, Barry, any thoughts in addition to this? I mean, it's 2-on-2 basketball. It's a classic.
It's classic. It's a fantastic game. It's one of those where I wasn't big into basketball, but everybody loved NBA Jam, and it was easy to pick up and play. It was just fun. That being on fire was like a goal. It was like, oh yeah, and of course Tim made the game with the commentary. It was just perfect. It was like his perfect lightning in a bottle moment.
Yeah.
And
it's
it was definitive 90s. Like,
yeah, it's akin to like the NFL Blitz era, right? Like those games in particular as well. Just
I mean, that's
Well,
just like
that
the
is part of
NFL
it.
version of this.
yeah, no, like taking a sports game and which can sometimes be dull for people to play through a sports game and amping it up to a point where anybody can get excited to play it.
Well, remember Midway had all 5 major sports. They did that.
Mm-hmm.
And NBA Jam was just the basketball one. NFL Blitz was football. MLB Slugfest was baseball.
NHL Hits.
Red Card Soccer was soccer, and NHL Hits was NHL.
Mm-hmm.
So they had for a very brief time they had this type of game in all 5.
All fantastic games.
All fantastic
All of them.
games.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, NBA Jam Complete in Box will run you right now on the Super Nintendo, specifically $32.94. That peaked at $51.56 in January of 2025. That is trending down in price currently. A loose copy will run you $11.57. That peaked at $14.79 in May of 2024. That is also trending down. A Genesis copy, however, will be $8.33 on average, and complete in box at $13.37. I personally like the clamshell cases more than the Super Nintendo boxes, so always been tied to that. And then right now, you can also get your arcade 1-Up machine version for $500, or as Ryan wanted to put it, $499.99.
That's the actual price. I didn't make up the price. That's just how it comes, John.
Does the arcade 1-Up have the characters that the people who died that were part of the original
I'm not
arcade version?
sure. Let me look that up really quick.
Because if it is using the arcade ROM, I would imagine it would.
Probably.
But do they,
Arcade 1-Up, NBA Jam I'll just put Michael Jordan.
And one thing I do want to point out about this game,
no standard.
I like the box art. This
I
is
meant
a
the
good
ones that
box
died
art.
though.
Oh, I gotcha.
For the home console port.
Yeah, it's true because Michael Jordan owns his rights. Who did I say it was? Petrovic?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Petrovic. Yes, it does actually have him.
So it's the arcade ROM then.
Yeah. But of course, Michael Jordan's not on it because, well, he just didn't want to be on it, I guess. And he owns his rights. They couldn't secure him. So
yeah, probably wanted too much.
Yeah, it's true. So, all right, looking at this from the Super Nintendo version, 1157. I mean, honestly, that 1479 that it peaked at, I think is still a fair price point for a game like this, for a loose cart. Of course, if you're going Genesis, $10 would not be a terrible deal. in my opinion, this game is actually deflated. I think that it is lower than the value it should be.
Yeah, I'll give this one deflated. This is a fun game. Anybody can have a great time with this still. Um, I do think, like I said, I like the box art. I think it would be worth to pick up a complete in box, like nice crispy cardboard from back in the 90s. That'd be cool to have.
Barry?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's definitely deflated, but at the same time, I feel like if you wanted to play this game on Super Nintendo or Genesis, you would probably pick up the Tournament Edition, which added more to it, and I don't think it was terribly expensive either. So it's kind of like one of those where playing like Street Fighter 2, you can get Street Fighter 2 for dirt cheap on like the Super Nintendo, but Super Street Fighter 2 is also there, and so is Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Why would you pick up the vanilla version when you spend a few little bucks more and you can get the better version already that exists on the
Well,
system?
let's see.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
I have
is.
to-
Like loose, it's $15, and complete in box, it's $37.83.
Right,
So
and-
yeah, just like a handful of dollars more.
So
So
technically,
you might as well get Tournament Edition.
yeah, and it would be just right at that point. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I actually have Tournament Edition on the Genesis.
Yeah, it's a
With the-
great game.
Yeah, it is. And then I think I have the regular. Yeah, I do have the regular edition on the Super Nintendo. So nice. Well, get this. So Tournament Edition is actually $16.49 complete in box for Genesis, which is half the price of. Well, I mean, it's still half the price technically, no matter which way you look at it for compared to Super Nintendo. So go Genesis, I suppose. But I'm sure like one of the things we're not looking at is it probably performs better on the Super Nintendo or something like that. Kind of like those old LJN ports and things. So yeah.
And you also have, more buttons versus, unless you're using a 6-button controller, but it depends on if the game is programmed to use a 6-button Genesis controller.
Yep.
So the Super Nintendo guaranteed had 6 buttons.
Yep. Good point. All right. Well, of course, this one's been deflated. We are going to play Mega Man Soccer next week. Thank you, Barry, for the recommendation.
Woo.
And then we'll follow that up with, I don't know, some sort of other sports game.
Some other sport.
Yeah. And then another sport game to close it out before we get into Christmas games, which I don't know what's in Christmas. So maybe we'll just do football for every week. We'll see.
Well, an Elf on a Shelf
Or
game
we can
just
just
came
play
out on the
random
Switch.
games.
Oh, did it really?
So, yeah, it really did.
I don't know if I can play that. Barry did the ESRB on that one.
No, I did not.
Suggestive themes.
But I do have the physical.
Well, yeah, of course you do, because you have all the physicals. All right. Well, Barry, thanks again for coming on. I guess if you could remind everyone where they can find you.
Sure. So you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky and Fuse at Hawk Hellfire. You could also find PM Studios on all social media platforms, PM Studios. And please check out our games. Our games are retail on our website. We've got a ton of great games that are out now, a ton that you can pre-order through our partnerships with other companies like, Lost and Cult and I Am 8-Bit. And then, of course, we have more to announce coming throughout the rest of this year and into next year. So stay tuned. There's a lot of great PM games coming.
Good stuff. Appreciate you coming on, man. So until next time, this has been episode 366 of the Game Deflators podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Barry.
And thanks for listening.